boys and girls. Greg here from the Scary Spirits podcast to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Black Death. We're going to start a whiskey sour glass or a rocks glass. To that, we're going to add 1 ounce of vodka. Next, 1/2 ounce blue curacao, 1/2 ounce. Then 1/4 ounce butterscotch schnapps, 1/4 ounce. Close enough. I like butterscotch. Next, a 1/4 ounce coffee liqueur, 1/4 ounce. Like so. Finally, 1 ounce Everclear. Then we are going to stir. It looks more like the Green Death to me, but whatever. And then drink through a straw. I do like the butterscotch. Everclear's a little heavy though. Hopefully it will get better as the ice melts. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
There are crimes of passion, and there are crimes of fashion. And in this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, we definitely have a case of the latter. Big glasses, men's heeled shoes, extra large collars with low unbuttoned shirts, and a bunch of dudes trying to look cool and badass in shearling vests. But at least they get to ride motorcycles. Honestly, I really don't have room to judge. My fashion peak was in the 80s. But I'll take guy liner, feather earrings, and big hair over orange corduroy suits any day. But that's just me. If you can rock it, rock it. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hi, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm feeling good today, Greg. How are you?
Are you feeling good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good too.
Why are you laughing?
We match.
Ooh, we match. It's going to be a good one.
All right, Karen. I do have some corrections, sadly.
So do I.
Do you?
Well, I have one, but you go ahead with yours.
Both of my corrections are around the Legend of Hell House episode, which was episode 60.
Mhm.
The first error is that I kept saying it was from 76, and it's not from 1976.
Oh, no. What's it from?
73. So all the Kiss Destroyer talk that led to the bicentennial picnic talk and
Oh, no.
all of that would not have happened if I would have remembered it was really 1973.
Well, you got to leave all that in.
So
That
it's,
was,
I did. That's kind of a blessing in disguise. That's what I'm saying.
it was radio gold. Us talking
was.
about jarts.
Yeah. And I sometimes called the guy the son Daniel, and sometimes I called him David.
What? It was Daniel, right?
I think it was Daniel. Yes, it was Daniel. I called him David a couple times.
I probably did too.
That's my errors, Karen. You have an error?
Well, I think at the end of last week's episode, when you brought up this movie, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, I think I said I'd never seen it,
Oh,
but I watched it and I realized I have seen it before.
you have seen it. Is it in your collection, Karen?
No, but I think I watched it last year at Halloween, or I saw it fairly recently. I just
Okay.
didn't connect the title with what I'd seen. I lied. Big fat lie.
All right. So those are our errors. We're sorry. We're not perfect people.
Well, we're just delightful. We're not perfect.
And Karen, I believe this was my choice this week.
It was.
It is an even week. Episode 62, correct?
Yes.
So, Karen, the film I have chosen is, as you already mentioned, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, Karen,
Oh, I stole your thunder. How rude.
from 1973. That's two 1973 movies in a row, Karen.
Do you have fond memories of 1973 or something?
Don't know. Nothing really comes to me.
No Kiss album or
No. Okay, here we go, Karen. Going down the rabbit hole. So Kiss Alive was the first Kiss album I got really into, and I think that was 75, Karen.
Oh, okay. Well, you were such a youngster in 73.
I know, God. I was still listening to John Denver in 1973.
I was probably in my early 20s.
or Disney albums.
Yeah. Free to Be You and Me. That one with Marlo Thomas. Or the Beach Boys. That was popular in our house, the Beach Boys. Then all of a sudden it was Black Sabbath and Aerosmith.
So the first, is that right? The first Kiss album came out in 74. It can't be right, can it, Karen?
I don't know.
Is that even possible? I thought it was like 72. Yeah. First Kiss album came out in 74 with Hotter Than Hell. So this movie predates Kiss, Karen. This is a pre-Kiss movie.
Wow.
Or a pre-Kiss album. I mean, they were a band, but would you like to know why I picked it, Karen?
Absolutely. Obviously, it doesn't have anything to do with Kiss. So what is it?
Just because vampires are cool. And all
Because
that
Christopher Lee. Sir Christopher Lee is cool.
Yep. That's pretty much it. And I do have a cocktail, Karen.
What cocktail is that, Greg?
It's called the Black Death, Karen.
It's an appropriate name.
Yeah, it fits in the movie, right?
I mean, it fits the cocktail.
But it also fits in with the movie.
It absolutely does. Yes.
Yeah. At first, I was
It's
looking
clever.
for like vampire blood and blood of this and blood. And I'm like, no, I think I'm going in a different direction. I'm going
You're
with
going
the
to be
Black
clever.
Death.
You're going to be clever.
Yes. Would you like to know how to make it, Karen?
Absolutely.
So we're going to need 1 ounce of vodka, a half an ounce of blue curacao, 1/4 ounce butterscotch schnapps, 1/4 ounce coffee liqueur. I used Kahlua, Karen. What did you use?
I used Kahlua also.
And 1 ounce of Everclear, Karen. What proof Everclear did you use?
Unfortunately, I did not have Everclear, so mine is only Gray Death.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a fairly newer bottle of Everclear, so it's only 151. Basically, Karen, we're going to combine all those ingredients in a whiskey sour glass.
which is basically a rocks glass, right? More or less.
Yeah.
Stir and drink through a straw. You must drink it through a straw, Karen.
I added an ice cube to mine.
Oh, yeah, I added ice to mine too. I mean, it's a pretty empty glass if you don't add ice because it's only 3 ounces of liquid.
I wonder if you could have put it in one of those tall shot glasses, right? And just sipped it down.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I found that drink on haveacocktail.com.
Would you like to give the listener time to make the drink?
Yes. Everyone gather your ingredients and make your own Black Death. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film?
I have a very brief synopsis.
Do you? Very brief?
Yep.
All right. Tell me a story.
The Satanic Rites of Dracula. British-made chiller about a bloodthirsty count who takes up residence in modern London to develop a new strain of bubonic plague with the evil intention of annihilating all life on Earth.
Thank you, Karen, for that very brief synopsis. Mine was much longer. Not much, but...
Is that when I say that's what she said? That's pretty accurate.
It is, but it's very brief.
Well, it entices the listener to follow along since they don't know the entire story.
Okay, I'll go with that. I'm very agreeable, Karen. You know that about me.
That's what I always call you, Agreeable Greg.
Hey, anything else before we start? Are we ready to get into it?
Well, I did have a question when I was watching the movie, and I wondered if Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing were actually friends because they starred in a lot of movies together. And so I looked it up, and it's not an uncommon thing to Google because it filled it in for me. And it says they were the closest of friends. They spoke on the phone nearly every week. And when Cushing died at 1:30 in the morning, Lee was the first person called. So I guess they were really, really good friends, which is cool because they worked together a lot.
That's good to know. I'm glad it wasn't the other way around.
Well, me too, because that would put a different spin on the movies. But they're in a lot of these movies together, and I just wondered. So there you go. Good.
And I couldn't help but look at Peter Cushing and see Grand Moff Tarkin in this film because it wasn't long after the Star Wars came out, you know?
Yeah, he's got that look, definitely. So you can his cheeks are really hollowed out now. And
yeah, maybe it's all that fucking smoking, Karen.
Yeah.
Smoking all them non-filtered cigarettes.
Yeah.
Do you know what he died of?
I do not.
It's curious.
Are we going to guess lung cancer?
I don't know. Would you like to take a guess, Karen?
I'll guess lung cancer. I'd like to know how old he was because he looked pretty old.
He was 81 when he passed away in 1994, Karen. He lived 20 years
81's
past this
pretty
movie.
good, yeah.
Prostate cancer, Karen.
Oh, well, that'll get you. Back then.
Lived 12 years past his diagnosis. They originally gave him 12 to 18 months, and he lived 12 years without any operative treatment or chemotherapy, supposedly. Good for him. Still cancer, Karen. All right, are we ready to get into it?
Maybe he only smoked in the movies.
I doubt it.
I don't. And he looked pretty comfortable with the cigarette.
He was like chain smoking in the movies. So every time he's in a shot, he's got a cigarette in his hand or his mouth almost. And he puts it out and grabs another from his little case.
Cool little case.
All right, are you ready? The Satanic Rites of Dracula, Karen. 1973 Hammer film. I think it was in partnership with Warner Brothers or something. Because I think it says Warner Brothers presents Hammer. So they might have distributed it, Warner Brothers, but it's a Hammer film. I do like my Hammer films, Karen.
Why are they called Hammer films? Is that the producer?
No, that's the
or the studio.
Hammer Film Productions, British film production company based in London.
Okay. I just wondered if it was named after someone.
So the guy who founded Hammer Films, his name was William Hines, but his stage name was Will Hammer,
Nice. There you go.
which he had taken from the area of London in which he lived, Hammersmith.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a video out there, Karen, if you're interested, called "The Beast Over Hammersmith." Iron Maiden,
Oh,
Number the
okay.
Beast tour. They played the Hammersmith Odeon. I think it's called the Odeon at Hammersmith, and they recorded it for video. So there we go. Got Star Wars reference in. We got a Kiss reference in. We got an Iron Maiden reference in.
We're done. Show notes.
I'm
galore.
killing it.
Yeah.
Haven't even talked about the movie yet. Right now, are we ready?
Yes.
Satanic Rites of Dracula, 1973, Hammer Films production. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
Okay. First thing I saw was rated R. Didn't give any warnings for, anything else, but just rated R. Didn't mention smoking, nudity, devil worship, none of that shit.
Violence.
Motorcycle men. Then we have credits. And while credits are playing, we hear cheesy 1970s music, I wrote.
Yes, and they're kind of put over England tourist traps.
Yeah. And there's a silhouette of
Landmarks.
Dracula too, right?
There is.
And it keeps getting larger. And it's the last thing I have. So I think it took me a while to recognize that that's what it was.
It was in the corner and it grew and grew and grew. It's like a shadow, a silhouette.
Movie opens, Karen, and we seem to be at a satanic ritual, I wrote.
Yes, we do.
There is a pentagram in the middle of the room. And then we see two bare breasts, Karen.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And I was thinking, winner, winner, chicken dinner.
She's a young blonde lady on the altar.
Yes. Sacrificial altar, I would call it.
Yes.
And then there's like a man in a control room, ?
Yeah, they cut to him. It's like a security room, kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were like broadcasting this out to the world or if it was like, it's a pretty elaborate control room for just a closed circuit television.
Well, but
I think.
They do have lots of cameras and lots of alarms to trip.
Lots of big machines and computers, which probably my laptop has more power than all those computers combined in that room.
Oh, I'm sure. I call them the Shearling Vest Mafia or Shearling. Do you know how to say it? Is
Shearling is what I would say.
Shearling Vest. They all wear the Shearling vests.
Yes.
Very 70s.
Dark glasses.
Yes.
70s hairdos.
They are very 70s.
So the guy from the control room then brings a cup of coffee to another man who apparently is guarding a prisoner tied up in a bed. And that guy ends up freeing himself. His hands are tied with rope.
He pretends that he's still unconscious, but he works his hands free of the rope.
Yeah, and he moans and groans, and the guy comes over, and the man who is the prisoner strangles his captor with the rope.
Yes.
He gone.
Yep.
So we got two bare breasts and one death in like the first minute.
I know. I thought Greg's going to love this one. No wonder you picked it.
Yeah. It's a winner.
I mean, all those references, two boobs and a death. Why do we even need to go on?
I'm gonna start a count. So we've got two boobs and one death so far. So the man escapes.
He's wounded. He's bleeding. He's
and
struggling.
Apparently he's a British Secret Service dude.
Yeah, he's struggling to walk. He's woozy. They've beat him and tortured him pretty bad, apparently.
He does manage to sneak past the control room and makes his way downstairs. But as he's exiting the building, Karen, he neglects to see the flashlight across the door and he trips the alarm.
Yes. I think that one's red, isn't it?
Or no,
it's white. And then the red lights go off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red lights go off everywhere.
Next, we see men in shearling vests.
That's what we're going to say. If we're wrong, somebody tell us.
Chasing him on motorcycles. And apparently they are both shot by an accomplice in a waiting vehicle for the guy.
Yeah, they're just waiting outside a car.
Yeah. Shoots them both right in the head. Boom, boom. Two more gone. Next, we cut to, I don't know. It reminds me of some secret underground bunker, Karen. I don't know what else to call it, with lots of computers and shit around, and
Yeah, I thought it was a hospital at first, but it's not.
they're recording the man's story, the Secret Service agent, apparently recording his story on a reel-to-reel tape recorder, Karen.
Yes, they are. They keep asking him if he's sure that John Porter was there.
Yes.
Is he sure? And he says he's sure.
And while he's telling the story, they keep cutting back to the satanic ritual, showing us what he is talking about.
Yes. So he's narrating the ritual.
So we see the two same bare breasts over and over and over and over again, Karen. So I'm only counting them as two.
Okay, fair enough.
Then they, in the ritual, they kill a chicken and drain its
Yes.
blood into a goblet.
Did you notice that the men who were there were in white robes and the women
Yes.
were in red?
Yes, I did. And here's where I wrote, is this guy a spy?
That's what I wrote.
Yard, question mark.
Was he a spy?
He was sent in undercover, we learned during all this. So he's like a British Secret Service agent.
But he does pass away. He dies.
Yeah, but they pull his wristwatch off and they take the back of it off. And apparently there's a microfilm inside his wristwatch where he could have taken photos using his wristwatch, Karen, like James Bond or something. And then I wrote, he gone. That's 4.
For what?
4 deaths.
Oh, you're counting the motorcycle guys. Okay.
Yeah. Here's where I wrote, this must be British Secret Service, because they say they're going to bring someone in from Scotland Yard.
Yes.
So originally I thought they were Scotland Yard guys, but no, they must be Secret Service. So this is where I figured that out. They're going to bring in an Inspector Murray from Scotland Yard to help them.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because it's very secretive operation, because one of the guys in there who is in charge says, you have my support in this room, but outside of this room, I don't know if he's going to deny that they exist or take away their fun. Couldn't figure that out. It's hush hush, this whatever they're doing.
Yeah, because apparently this John Porter guy is like the head of their like Secret Service or some shit.
Yeah.
So he could shut them all down and make them all disappear, I assume. He's credited in the cast on Wikipedia as John Porter, MP. Wonder what that means. I would say military police, but don't know. Maybe British Secret Service stuff is different.
Yeah, but it's just hush hush. They're not really allowed to talk about it.
Next, we see they're showing slides, giving a slideshow, Karen.
Yep.
And reading in the inspector from Scotland Yard, like briefing him on the whole clandestine operation they were involved in, like watching this house and all that shit, right?
Yes.
We cut back to the ritual again.
I wanted to note the man talking as the slides are going, up on the screen has 4 buttons undone on his shirt. He's groovy, that dude.
Yeah. He is Peter Torrance. That's his name.
There is very 70s fashion. Just the shearling vest.
It's 1973, Karen.
I know, but the undone shirt, the shoes the men are wearing with the heels.
Ooh, the shoes.
But
you
the heels,
the shoes?
Because they click when they walk.
Okay.
It was just
Did
funny.
Did not notice the shoes, Karen.
Did you notice the unbuttoned shirt?
No, I didn't really.
Okay. I couldn't see any breasts though.
Well, most of the time he's like in a suit.
Yeah, but not in this. They were smoking. They were all cash, and he had his shirt undone. It was funny.
Okay. And we cut back to the ritual, and they're pouring the chicken blood on the naked girl. And we see the same 2 bare breasts, Karen, again. So I'm not making a note.
It's called the baptism of blood. The girl writhes because she just loves the chicken blood on her. And the old white guys get all horny.
I think they're kind of hypnotized or something.
They're licking their lips and their eyes are all bugging out.
They didn't look right to me, though. Next, we cut back to the slideshow, and we, who is it? Jane. Jane brings in the slides from the microfilm that have been developed. And we
5
see
exposures.
Yeah, pictures of a General Sir Arthur Freeborn, John Porter,
Wait, so as they mention each of these people, you cut to the ceremony and they're anointing themselves with chicken blood from the girl's stomach.
Yes.
And every
Putting
time
an
they touch
upside down cross on their forehead in blood and chicken
every
blood.
time they touch the girl, she acts like it's the most pleasurable thing she's ever felt.
Yes, it's very orgasmic for her, apparently.
Yes. So there's the general, and then he anoints himself with the upside down cross. And then the second man is
John Porter, who apparently is like the head of the Secret Service or some shit.
he anoints himself.
And next, Lord Carrington.
Yeah, they say he's one of the biggest
Lord
landowners.
Carradine.
He's a big landowner.
Yeah, he owns half of London. Then we have Professor Keeley.
Yes, a Nobel Prize winner.
And then in the fifth
Wait.
picture,
I think, though, one thing to note is Professor Keeley, when he goes to anoint himself, he's shaky. He's the most nervous about the whole thing. The other guys just go up there and anoint the hell out of themselves. Seems like a little unsure if this is something he should do.
all right. Then in the fifth picture, Karen, there's just a picture of the door open.
Yes, it is.
No person is in the photo.
But we know, don't we?
Do we?
I did even when I saw it the first time, but whatever.
I did too. Next, we cut to Jane on her way home because, the Commodore or whatever the hell he is, right? Or Colonel Matthews tells Jane that she must have been up all night. She can go home. So she goes home and she's been followed by motorcycle men, Karen, in their shearling. Is that what we're shearling?
Shearling, fuzzy leather vests. And she does notice them following her, but why are they following her? What's the purpose?
I don't know. What
either. Do they need her for?
They don't.
It was just odd. She doesn't really.
We have.
I guess they're
kind
trying
of a
to get rid of
high-speed chase.
Yes, maybe they're
Lightly.
trying to get rid of everyone who's heard anything. But was she there when the guy was dying and saying who was there? She was, right?
She was recording it.
Okay, so maybe that's why. So she heard the names of the people.
Yeah.
So that'd be one reason to get. But I was thinking, she doesn't have the recording. She doesn't have the pictures. Why are they coming after her? But she did hear the names.
She did hear the names.
Okay.
Eventually, she drives into a dead end, and the motorcycle men break her windshield and grab her. Next, cut back to the underground bunker, I call it. And the men are listening to the reel-to-reel tape of the Secret Service agent's testimony. And we cut back to the ritual again, Karen. And the naked girl is stabbed and sacrificed. And I wrote, she gone. That may have been premature, though, Karen.
Yes.
Then they
I
say,
wrote girl dead.
Yes.
But
then we cut back to the underground bunker, and the inspector from Scotland Yard says that he knows a man who may be knowledgeable about these sort of things, the occult and whatnot. And
while he's using his electric shaver.
Yes.
Or wait, the other guy is using his electric
Torrance
shaver.
is using his electric shaver. And it works. You can tell a difference. But the inspector says he's going to bring in Professor Van Helsing. He is an expert in the black arts and the occult, Karen. Next, cut. And they're playing the tape for Van Helsing. And of course, Van Helsing's smoking a filterless Marlboro. But then we cut back to the ritual. This is a long ritual, Karen.
So the priestess is talking about the Prince of Darkness.
Basically, every time we cut back to the ritual, we're hearing what the man on the tape is saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the girl rises from the table. So she ain't gone yet, Karen. And her wound heals itself.
She smiles at the men. The blood even disappears. It's not just the wound heals, the blood is gone too.
And here's where I wrote, more of the same two bare breasts. Still only two, Karen, only two. Courtney, only two so far. Next, Van Helsing explains to the men about the worship of blood and smoke another Marlboro while they're at it. Then Van Helsing's daughter comes in and, serves them all coffee.
She knows all of Grandpa's work but still has
Yeah.
to bring in and serve them coffee.
Yeah, but he says, they can talk freely in front of her, right? That's the
Because
point.
she's smart.
But she does let it slip, Karen, that Van Helsing knows the professor very well. Something he neglected to tell them when they were looking at the photos of the men.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're old college buddies or some shit. But Van Helsing says he wants to go and talk to the professor by himself and just see, how much he is involved, what he knows, whatever.
As you would if you were good friends.
Yeah, the other men agree. The inspector and Peter Torrance agree. That's a good
I'd
name.
go talk to you.
Peter Torrance. I'm Peter Torrance.
I would say, what do you mean? Greg Wallace is in this satanic cult? Let me go talk to him. Let me see if this is real.
Yeah, you better check that shit out, Karen. So next we see Van Helsing coming to a building with a sign on it that says the Keeley Foundation for Science. Van Helsing rings the doorbell, but no one answers. So he walks down the alley and enters through a side door.
Isn't that convenient?
And one of the Shearling motorcycle men are watching and gets in the red telephone booth.
Yes, and
to make a phone call.
Yep. Calls for backup. Then I have cut to Keeley with petri dishes full of mold. It's like bread mold.
Well, I said he's looking at slides in a microscope, but there are petri dishes there with mold. Van Helsing enters. The professor seems very rattled, Karen.
Very nervous.
He tells Van Helsing that he is suffering from mental fatigue. And he says he has to have something completed by the 23rd.
He says, I finished it.
Yeah. But he says there's, not the 23rd yet. So do we know when this exactly takes place? What month or anything?
Later, Van Helsing says on the 23rd of the 11th month.
Okay.
I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything.
Well, we'll get to it, but apparently it's the Sabbath of the Undead, the 23rd of the month. Okay.
But Dr. Keeley's very nervous and incoherent almost, stressed, and he's about to snap.
Yeah, it seems like he's been awake for weeks or some shit, is what I would say. Next, we cut back to the house and we see Jane in apparently the same room that the Secret Service agent was in earlier. She's being kept in the same room.
The hostage room.
And a shutter is banging against the window. And
the light is spinning.
And we see Froggy's fog coming from under the door, Karen.
Yes, we do.
And Sir Christopher Lee enters.
It's Dracula.
32 minutes, Karen.
I know.
Before we see Sir Christopher Lee. But the woman seems very happy to see him, just like we are, I'm sure.
That's what I said. Jane looks very happy to see him.
And they embrace, and he bites her on the neck.
I wrote eyes, 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 eyes. They show her eyes, his eyes, her eyes, his eyes, her eyes, his eyes. And then she's dinner.
Bites her on the neck.
But she's happy about it.
She is. She's ecstatic, you might say, Karen. Next, we cut back to the Keeley Foundation. And Professor Keeley goes into this speech about how evil rules. It really does. He talks about the deadly sins or the deadly virtues, depending on your point of view.
He talks about the supreme beings serve him and he offers you immortality.
Yes. And then Van Helsing finds notes concerning a new strain of the bubonic plague.
Yes. So while Keeley is.
But he calls it something else first. What did you call it first, Karen?
The name of the bacteria?
Yeah.
I didn't write it down.
Okay.
But he's rifling through Keeley's lab notes while Keeley's on this monologue about he's sort of distracted and crazy. But do you want to know about the bubonic plague?
I would love to know about the bubonic plague.
So the bubonic plague deaths exceeded 25 million people during the 14th century. That's about 2/3 of the population in Europe at the time. You know how it was transmitted, right?
Sure.
Do you or don't?
It was they were unsanitary.
Well, it was through fleas.
Oh, okay.
From rats, mostly.
Karen, do you know that there are approximately 650 cases reported a year to this day.
I was going to ask you that. You're cheating. You're looking it up. So most people who get the plague died. Many often had blackened tissue due to gangrene. So that's why it's called the Black Plague.
Well, our Black Death drink is green. It's not really
It's true.
black. It's more like
There-
gangrene.
A cure for the plague wasn't available. Okay, so you cheated and said how many deaths yearly?
We hadn't asked yet. I
Which
read
was
your
what?
mind, Karen.
Ooh, we're getting to know each other too well.
According to the World Health Organization in 2014, it's 650 cases reported a year.
Okay, how many of those do you think were in the US? Approximately.
Now that one, I don't know. Out of 650, you want a number like that or a percentage?
A number.
A number. I'm going to say 75, Karen.
I thought you were going to, I was like, holy shit, it's 7
7. Okay.
on average a year.
Okay.
And most of the cases involve people aged 12 to 45. I was surprised it was still around, but there isn't a cure. It's just, we know how it's transmitted now. So
apparently this new strain of bubonic plague, the skin actually rots on the bones and the disease spreads by touch like wildfire, Karen.
yes, he's
Wildfire, Karen. I just
not-
got that right now. Might be a little foreshadowing. I don't know.
this bacteria that he's created or isolated, however you want to look at it, accelerates the rate at which it will be transmitted. And it is transmitted, like you said, through touch, not through,
It's not airborne or
well, it's not on fleas
Mm.
or, it's,
I suppose if a flea, landed on you, then landed on someone else, it would probably spread though.
you're overthinking it.
Come on, Karen. Dr. Karen.
Do you remember how he
You
did
know
it?
it to be true, Karen.
Here's what he did. He grew the bacterium in agar and exposed it to radioactive neutrons.
Yes, he did.
The old Spider-Man spider bite.
Yes. And Van Helsing demands to know who commissioned Neely to make this terrible plague. Then a motorcycle man in a shearling jacket enters,
He does.
Karen.
He does ask what is so important about the 23rd of the month. And then
Yeah.
the Shearling Mafia comes in.
Shearling Mafia, yeah. Comes in and shoots Van Helsing.
He shoots him, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was gone. But maybe not quite, Karen. We'll get there.
Well,
Next, we see Sir Christopher Lee carrying the body of Jane down the hall.
also known as Dracula.
Then we cut back to the Keeley Foundation. That's all we see.
Yep, it was weird.
I know. I guess Sir Christopher Lee needed a few seconds more screen time. I don't know. And we're back to the Keeley Foundation, and apparently Van Helsing awakes from his, regains consciousness, and apparently he was only nicked by the bullet on the temple.
He went down hard, unconscious. And I thought, what book in his pocket saved him, right? Because you know how they always do that. But then when he sits up, there's no hole in his coat.
He has
Nothing.
a scratch above his eye, like
it grazed him and he went down.
he regains consciousness to find that apparently Keeley has hung himself.
Or
and
was hung.
Karen, the petri dishes are missing.
Yes, they are.
Next, cut to the house where all the satanic rituals were taking place. And apparently it's called the Physical Examination and Research Group, PERG for short. They mentioned that earlier in the secret bunker. So we have Inspector Murray, Peter Torrance, and Jessica Van Helsing, who is the granddaughter, right? Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they want Jessica to stay behind, stay at the car.
She
Stay at the
wants to
car and
go
be
in.
quiet.
She says, yeah, she wants to go in because she says, I can help. I know what to look for. And they poo-poo her and tell her she has to stay in the car. And like you said, she has to be quiet. And I said, I bet she doesn't.
Yeah, well, I think it's more the inspector than Peter Torrance. I think the inspector has a thing for Jessica because they know each other.
He does have a thing for her. There's a love connection there, I think.
But they go to the gate, the inspector and Peter Torrance, and they ring the buzzer and say, hey, Scotland Yard, So the gate opens for them, and Jessica sneaks through just before the gates close. Then the door to the house opens, and the two men enter.
Without assistance. It just
Yeah, it
opens
just
with
opens.
nobody there.
Right.
And that's
It
when I
opens.
noticed their heel shoes.
Just like the gate. The gate opened too.
yeah,
What's
but
the difference? What's
they
the
talk to
difference?
some-
It's a door opening. Same
how
difference.
often does the front door open without someone opening it?
If it's on a
Go with the
mechanical
magic,
thing,
Greg.
just like the gate, then
Go with the magic. It's magic.
Right.
It's
And a
satanic magic. Come on.
Chinese woman comes down the stairs to greet them, who we learn is Qin Yi.
I like to call her the satanic priestess.
The inspector tells Qin Yi that they had reports of a disturbance the previous night from their neighbors. And
She's
Qin Yi
surprised.
says, "We
She's
ain't got no
surprised.
neighbors."
Yeah, there's no neighbors around here.
Apparently, it was so loud, Karen, that
It
it was heard
carried.
for miles.
And she says it must have been those hooligans on the motorcycles.
Yes, and they say, well, some of the neighbors think that this was their gathering place, the hooligans. And of course, it's preposterous, but we must check it out.
Yes.
That's what we do. So she lets him in. Next, we see Jessica sneaking around, and she almost trips the flashlight alarm, Karen, but she sees
She finds like a door.
Yep, to the cellar,
I think it's the
wine cellar,
Yeah.
dungeon, whatever.
But she's smart enough to see it. And so she steps
does.
over it.
She walks in and we see a wine, and there appear to be wooden caskets in there. I wrote, Karen.
Many chained to the walls.
And as she walks by, she neglects to see Jane chained
I
to the
said-
wall.
Yes. She doesn't see a freshly drained Jane chained to the wall.
But Jessica turns on the light and Jane's eyes open. Then Jessica sees Jane and Jessica starts to free her. And Jane shows her fangs, Karen, and she goes for Jessica. Then all the other caskets open and we see a bunch of other women with fangs emerge, but they're all chained up. So
But they
can't
still surround her.
They still manage to cop a feel of Jessica, I wrote.
Yeah. So how come in all the movies that I've chosen, there are lesbian undertones and this one doesn't have lesbian undertones? Because they're all,
Well, that's pretty
getting to-
obvious, I would say.
they're getting to second base, all of them.
Yeah.
And didn't you see one breast on Jane?
Well, not yet. We haven't.
Oh, sorry.
We've seen kind of a side breast on Jane so far, but
Okay. I'm getting too excited ahead
Yep.
of myself.
Jessica screams and the inspector and Peter Torrance come running down into the cellar. They shoot the lock and bust through the door just as the girls are about to bite Jessica. And then Peter Torrance recognizes his assistant Jane, although she looks quite different than she does in the office, Karen.
Yes, she does.
Her hair's down. It's a great improvement, I would say.
Her glasses are off. She's done the librarian thing.
Yes.
She takes out one bobby pin and takes off her glasses,
Yeah.
shakes her head, and ta-da.
Yeah. So he goes to free Jane and she tries to bite him. And the inspector breaks a piece of wood off of one of the casket and stabs her right through the chest, Karen.
He stakes her.
And we see one bare breast of Jane.
Oh, okay. But
So
that's another death.
So that's three bare breasts and another death. They all run out of the house and the Chinese woman makes a call on the red phone. And then the Shearling mafia men come chasing them.
Yeah, she sounds all the alarms, turns a bunch of switches and makes a call on the bat phone.
One of the motorcycle men is shot and killed. And the inspector, Jessica, and Peter Torrance climb the wall and escape.
Scale the brick wall.
Hello, boys and girls. Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast. Karen and I really have a great time putting these episodes together. If you enjoy what you hear, please consider taking the time to leave a review wherever you listen. Reviews really help independent podcasts find listeners. The more listeners we have, the easier it is for people to find us. Now, back to the show. Next, we see Van Helsing explaining to the inspector and Peter Torrance about Keeley. Van Helsing serves them all tea and biscuits, I wrote.
He serves tea like soup with a ladle.
Yes. I was like, is that tea?
Yeah, it's a big punch bowl filled with tea, and they all get a cup of tea and some bread or cookies. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Biscuits. Then they start looking into who founded or who funded the Keeley Foundation. Apparently, it's a man called D.D. Denham.
Does that mean anything? I kept trying to figure out if it was like
Don't know.
initials for something,
Don't know.
but I couldn't figure it out. Yes,
DDD. I don't know.
the Denham Group is into chemicals, oil, and banks. And guess who the board of directors is?
All the men in the photos, Karen.
Yes, all the satanic ritual dudes.
And then Van Helsing makes a connection to Dracula. He explains that he killed Dracula 2 years ago, but the graveyard where Dracula was buried is now a building, and the property is owned by the Denham Corporation. And then they deduce that the photo showing no man is actually a photo of a vampire.
Yeah, they cast no reflection in a mirror, and a camera can't record them.
Yeah, they put all that shit together pretty quickly, I'll say.
That's what Van Helsing does. If Van Helsing is there, it's a vampire. But he goes over the ways to combat and kill a vampire. Did you write them down?
I did, Karen. Did you?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Van Helsing describes how to kill a vampire with the symbols of good, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Such as a crucifix,
Check.
the word of God,
In the Bible, yes.
clear running water.
Because it symbolizes purity.
I never heard that shit before.
It's in another one of the Hammer films.
Silver,
Yes.
the hawthorn tree that provided Christ with his crown of thorns, Karen.
I'd never heard that before.
But I like it.
Yeah.
The light of day and a wooden stake through the heart. Is that all?
That's it.
So is clear running water the same as holy water? Or is that a combination of the word of God and running water?
I guess that's what it is.
Or maybe it's different in this.
But they don't mention holy water. They just say pure water. And that's in some other Hammer films I remember.
Okay.
They just throw them in the water. And
that's right. They do.
So
Yeah,
that,
do.
I don't know.
You would think Dracula would not have a moat around his castle, right?
Right. Exactly.
But apparently he did. Because I remember that from the first Hammer Dracula film we did, right? Then we go into all this shit about the 23rd and how it's the Sabbath for the undead. And there's a more important date, he says, than the Witches' Sabbath or Walpurgisnacht. He doesn't call it Walpurgisnacht. He just says Walpurgis or Valpur or something like that. But I know what he was talking about, Karen.
Yeah, he's pulled out kind of like a chart with circles on it. And whenever the circles cross, major catastrophes happen, like the 2 world wars. I don't know. It's vague. But something's going to happen tomorrow at midnight.
Yeah, he says it is the night, the 23rd of whatever fucking month we are. And
Dracula chose the date 23rd day of the 11th month.
Okay, so 11/23. It's the night the devil holds the balance of power. That's what he says.
But they do ask an interesting question. If he's going to release this plague, it's going to kill everyone. How's he going to feed? Like what?
He ain't. So they raise the question. Do you think that he wants to destroy the world so that he can finally rest in peace?
That's what Van Helsing thinks is going to happen. Maybe he yearns for final peace. He wants to bring everyone down with him. It's the biblical prophecy of Armageddon, which always makes me think of the Def Leppard song.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting, Karen. So next we see the inspector and Jessica. Apparently it's the next day because it's daylight. And they're looking at the house through binoculars.
Yes, from a distance with cows in the background.
Yes. Peter Torrance comes up to talk to them. Just to, show he's there, I guess. To get him away from the car where the colonel is.
Yes, because they wouldn't have like walkie-talkies or anything.
Yeah, so he goes back to the car where the colonel is waiting, and he finds the colonel is shot dead, Karen. Shot in the head. He gone.
Yep. Execution style. So did you put him down?
Just did.
Okay.
Then one of the Shearling Mafia men shoot Peter Torrance several times using silencers. And he gone. Next, we cut to Van Helsing in his office. And I wrote, is he like putting together a vampire killing kit while he's smoking a Marlboro?
Yes, he is.
That's what I thought. Then we cut back to the inspector and
Well,
Jessica.
wait, let's tell him what
Well,
he's...
then we cut back to Van Helsing again. We're going back and forth here.
Oh, did you tell him what he's doing now?
I'm getting ready to, though.
Okay.
So we went from Van Helsing sitting at his desk to Inspector and Jessica for just a minute, looking through binoculars, I guess. Then we cut back to Van Helsing, and he is melting a silver cross to make a bullet, Karen.
One bullet.
Yes. And here's what I wrote. He could use the extra silver that he's wasting to make another bullet.
Yes, I agree 100%. He also gathers his crucifix and his Bible.
Then he loads the bullet, or he starts to load the bullet into the Derringer, even though it's not a finished bullet.
I just said that cooled very quickly.
It did, but
because silver's kind of soft.
There's got to be some primer and stuff in there. It's not a finished bullet yet, but they skipped that whole part about him. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there. Next, we cut back to the inspector and Jessica, and a sniper from the Shearling Mafia is taking shots at them, Karen.
But they keep missing them.
The inspector thinks he's missing on purpose just to toy with them. And they run away, but the Shearling Mafia follows them and continues to take shots at them. And they run in a straight line, Karen.
Yes, they
through
do.
the woods, right towards the car. And they say, oh, thank God the colonel's car is still here. And yeah, the Shearling Mafia men are there waiting for them. And so they're screwed. Next, we see Van Helsing at the Denham building, right?
Yes.
Where the cemetery was. He enters the building. Van Helsing goes up to the night watchman or the guard or whatever, guy guarding the front desk, and he asks to see Mr. Denham. The night guard says, no one sees Mr. Denham ever.
No one.
Then Van Helsing says, I'm sure that if you tell them that Van Helsing is here to see them, he will see me. Then we cut to the closed circuit TV camera in the corner, Karen.
Yep.
Then the phone rings, and someone tells the night guard to let Van Helsing up into Mr. Denham's private apartment. That never happens, Karen, ever.
No, the guard is very surprised. He says, you don't have a camera, do you?
Yes, that's all he asked. You don't have a camera, do you? No cameras. He's like, no, I do not have a camera.
He doesn't search him or anything because he's got a gun.
Nobody looks at him peculiarly, because he is very specific. No, I don't have a camera.
Right. He didn't lie.
I might have a Bible and a crucifix and a silver bullet, but a camera? No, I don't have a camera.
Nope.
So Van Helsing enters the apartment, who I know is Sir Christopher Lee, invites him in, right? But he has a desk lamp on his desk, shooting towards Van Helsing and the camera. So he's kind of hard to see. He's in the shadows, right?
Yes.
And here's where I wrote, Sir Christopher Lee sounds like he is doing a Bela Lugosi impression.
Well, he finally speaks at 1 hour and 3 minutes. This is the first time he speaks.
Yeah, but it's not in his natural voice. He's doing an impression of Bela Lugosi, I think.
Well, I don't know. I don't
it sounds
well
just
enough.
He speaks just like Bela Lugosi would.
But why would he even let him up there? Well, I don't really get the whole.
Because he's Dracula.
Okay.
He's all the Bond villains. They always tell Bond their plans before they try to kill him, but they never
Batman
succeed.
too. But why doesn't Van Helsing recognize him? He just killed him 2 years.
See him. I don't think he can see him because that light is on him.
Because he killed him 2 years ago.
Van Helsing asks if he could, smoke a Marlboro. He says sure, and then he asks Denham what he is going to do with him. He cannot let him go. He knows too much. And as
so he smokes.
Says he's, lighting his smoke. He pretends to knock over some books on the desk, and he bends over to pick them up, and he slips his Bible in under the pile of books, and he puts them back up on the desk. And Sir Christopher Lee accidentally puts his hand on the Bible and it burns, Karen.
Yes, it does. You know that feeling, don't you?
Oh, all too well. Next, Van Helsing pulls a crucifix and says some Latin shit, Karen. Did you make a note of what he said?
I just said he starts praying in Latin.
Okay. Is that what he's doing, praying?
Yeah.
All right. Then he pulls out his Derringer. It looked like a Derringer to me. Is that what you thought it was, Karen?
Yeah. It's what I thought it was.
Single shot Derringer. Well, I think, some Derringers are 2 shots, but whatever. Single
Well, you
shot
should only
Derringer.
need one, but
But just as he's getting ready to fire, Karen, he is stopped by a couple of men from the photos.
the board of directors.
I don't know which 2 they are, but
Yeah, I don't know, but
it's
they
not,
move his
it's
arm.
not Professor Keeley. I can tell you that.
No, it's not.
Because he gone.
But they push his arm so his shot misses.
Then Sir Christopher Lee stops doing his Bela Lugosi impression. And he lets Van Helsing know that he also has his granddaughter. In a way.
They say we should kill him. And Dracula says it can't be that simple for Van Helsing.
It can't be that simple for Van Helsing.
I will go after his granddaughter.
Or his granddaughter.
And then this upsets Van Helsing very much.
Next, we cut back to the dungeon again, or the wine cellar, or whatever it is, under the house. And the inspector is laying there on the floor. And Chin Yi comes in, Karen, and says some words to him. Did you make a note of what she said, Karen?
Nope. I just thought
Was
she
it Latin
cast a
too?
spell. I couldn't tell because I couldn't really hear it, but
She
Yeah.
seemed to put a spell on him, Karen.
and then it more eyes, 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 eyes.
And they embrace and kiss, Karen. And she turns. She's got fangs.
Yes, she does. Which was surprising. I didn't think she was a vampire.
The inspector pushes her away and throws a net over her and
Which
then
where did that
tackles
come
her.
from? Who keeps a net in their wine cellar?
No, it's it's like, maritime decoration. It's
Oh,
like a
okay.
fish net.
It just seemed out of
Fishing net.
place.
Well, who keeps a stake and a hammer? A wooden stake and a hammer.
That's true. Conveniently right there.
Conveniently right there within arm's reach. Because he grabs it and hammers it through her chest. She gone. Next, all the caskets open again and the chained girls come out the inspector. But he forms a cross from 2 sticks of wood, Karen.
And he gets out safely.
And
with
they
that.
all cower.
Yes, they do.
And he goes up to the door and he says, there's a sprinkler system down here. There's a water spigot knob right here. I think I'll just turn it. And he douses them all with water and they all collapse into the floor.
Yeah, do they melt?
I don't know. If they had the budget, they would have liked to make them melt, I think. But I don't think they
But
did.
they're gone. So are you going to count them as 3 more deaths?
Was it 3 or 4?
Well, counting the
You got the blonde girl, the black girl, the brunette.
and the Chinese woman.
I already
You've
got
counted her?
So it's 3 more.
3. There were 3 more, yeah.
Okay. Next, the inspector enters the house, but he leaves his wooden stakes on the table, so he can't make a cross anymore, Karen. Can't you make a cross with your fingers? Does that work?
I don't know. They don't. Nobody ever does that. So
You have
maybe
to have
not.
you have to
Yeah.
have like implements to make a cross. I don't know.
Well, you have to believe too, Greg. So you're
No,
screwed.
that's true. That's true.
You're done.
Yeah, never mind.
Doesn't matter what you make it out.
Doesn't matter. No, it does not. And he finds Jessica in the ritual room, laying on the sacrificial table, Karen.
Unconscious on the altar.
But we do not see her bare breasts, Karen.
No, we don't.
At least not yet. Then he sees the closed circuit TV camera in the corner, and he begins to head upstairs.
Why?
He just knows that's where the control room would be for the
But-
closed circuit thing.
but-
I don't know why.
That was. I know he has to get out because they're coming home with Van Helsing, but it just was. Oh, look, there's a.
Well, he
closed
doesn't know
circuit.
they're coming back with Van Helsing. He's like slowly
No, I
walking
know,
up,
the move-
sneaking
but
up
the-
the stairs, and then he hears the door, and he runs up, and he runs into the
But the
control room.
director needs to move him out so they can come in, is all I'm saying, or the script writer. But I don't know what he's going to do in the control room.
He's watching the video feed, Karen.
You'd think he would have called the police.
think he would have made some popcorn to watch the ritual. So then Christopher Lee and the other man and Van Helsing enter. Inspector runs upstairs. They take Van Helsing to the ritual room where he sees his granddaughter on the sacrificial table. Sir Christopher Lee walks up there and waves his hands over her body, and the candles surrounding her all ignite.
The black candles.
He's so cool. The inspector finds the control room upstairs. He knows exactly which switch to turn on to see I think it's labeled ritual room. He just flips the switch.
And he sees the live TV broadcast.
But it took me a couple times to realize we don't see Dracula in the
Oh, I didn't notice
video.
that.
Yeah, it took me a couple times. I'm like, wait a minute. Sir Christopher Lee isn't there. We see everything but Sir
I
Christopher
missed
Lee.
it. That's good.
It was good. So we see Sir Christopher Lee starting the ritual. He chooses
Because it's almost midnight.
Yes, on the 23rd or
Yes.
whatever. He chooses the blood of Jessica to be his consort, Karen, he says.
No, he says he chooses the spawn of Van Helsing's blood to be his consort. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, as you would. Then one of the guys pulls out the test tube containing the plague, right? Is that a test tube? Is that what you call it? A test tube?
Yes.
Vial?
Yeah.
Test tube?
It's a test. No, it's a test tube.
Okay. Then Van Helsing starts questioning Sir Christopher Lee. He wants to know if he wishes to destroy the planet so that he can finally rest in peace. I don't think Sir Christopher Lee really answers the question, does he? Or does
No.
he? He wants to form his own apocalypse. That's all he says. He just wants to.
He goes on a rant.
Yeah.
About the 4 messengers of death.
He has chosen 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
The men from the photo plus Van Helsing.
Is now number 4 because Keely's no longer available.
Right. And then, of course, the men all begin to protest. No, that wasn't part of our deal. We served you well, great Lord, blah, blah, blah. We were supposed to
they're
get
pissed.
power.
They were going to be the king's leftover. But he says Jessica's body will never be corrupted. It will be her joy to walk at his side. But again, if everybody's gone, how are they going to live? It's weird. What's the future of his life with Jessica if everybody's going to be dead? And you're right. His minions get all testy because they don't want to be the carriers.
Yeah. But Sir Christopher Lee silences them
with his eyeballs.
Then at the stroke of midnight, Karen, the man holding the test tube of plague squeezes it and it breaks in his hand.
So yeah, he's in trouble.
He gone. Not yet, but
he will be.
Next, we see one of the Shearling Mafia men finds the inspector in the control room and they fight.
Yep.
Cut back to the ritual room and the skin of the man with the plague begins to rot. He seems to be in some discomfort as well.
Yes, a little bit.
Cut back to the fighting in the control room. And eventually the Shearling Mafia man is electrocuted because he's got a lead pipe and he smashes it into one of the computers and it electrocutes him. Is lead conductive? Maybe it was iron pipe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a steel pipe.
I think it was steel.
Okay. Cut back to the ritual room.
More disfigurement.
Yes, the man with the plague reaches for the others, but they all avoid him.
Smart.
Kind of like Blind Man's Bluff. The control room upstairs explodes. The inspector runs down to the ritual room. Van Helsing tells him to grab Jessica. Run in there and grab Jessica. So
and the 2 other horsemen hightail it out.
Yeah. And the ritual room is engulfed in flames, Karen. And here's where I wrote Plague Man almost touches Van Helsing.
Almost.
He's Plague Man from here on out.
Okay. I said plague dude. But the inspector does get Jessica out.
Yep. Carries her out into the woods. And Van Helsing escapes the house through a window. Sir Christopher Lee follows.
Into the woods.
The inspector leaves Jessica and runs back into the house.
Why? I guess for Van Helsing, maybe.
See if he can save anybody else, I guess. But he sees that the plague man is engulfed in flames.
Yep, he's burning.
He gone at this point, I'm saying.
Yeah, he's not going to make it.
Next, Van Helsing walking through the woods. and he is stuck by our sticker bush, Karen. But we hear the thoughts in his head about the hawthorn tree. So we know that must be a hawthorn tree, Karen.
Are those native to England?
Shit, I don't know. Got no
I was
idea.
just wondering if he just happened to, that's Christ's crown. That would be a different area of the world. I don't even know if the hawthorn tree is real. Is it?
It is.
Okay.
Northern hemisphere of Europe, Asia, North Africa, and North America.
Okay. So yeah.
The name hawthorn was originally applied to the species native to Northern Europe, in Britain and Ireland.
Okay. There you go. Is it called something else in the Bible?
The supposition that the tree was the source of Jesus's crown of thorns doubtless gave rise to the tradition among the French peasantry that it utters groans and cries on Good Friday, and probably also the old popular superstition in Great Britain and Ireland that ill luck attended the uprooting of hawthorns. So whatever. It's all hearsay and legend.
But it's an actual tree.
It is an actual tree, yeah. So Van Helsing positions himself behind the hawthorn bush, I guess this is, and he calls to Christopher Lee.
Now, would you do that? If you were Christopher Lee and you're searching for someone and all of a sudden they start calling you in a certain direction, wouldn't you be like, I would have just stayed there so he could sneak up on me and think that he had the upper hand. And then, I mean, wouldn't you be suspicious?
Probably, especially the first time I got stuck.
Well, plus he just killed him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'd have thought,
Sir Christopher Lee gets caught in the thorns of the hawthorn tree, and he tries to reach through them to Van Helsing. Even after he's stuck once, he's still trying to go through this shrubbery.
right.
Whatever. So he eventually collapses, and Van Helsing takes apart a picket fence.
Well, he stumbles out. He's wounded. He stumbles out.
Bloody,
and-
yeah.
but there's
and
one
smoking.
He's starting to smoke.
Apparently, it burns.
And one of the branches has a hold of his ankle.
And it burns.
And it's on him. So he's kind of held down like silver chains would hold somebody. I thought, like a vampire or something.
Van Helsing grabs part of a picket fence.
Just happens to be there in the middle of the woods.
That's right. And jabs it right through Sir Christopher Lee's heart. And he gone.
Does he really count as being gone, though?
Well, if he doesn't, does any of the vampires?
I guess that's true. Okay.
And Sir Christopher Lee's body smokes and it disintegrates till it's just a skeleton. But I wrote, it doesn't have fangs, though.
No.
And they zoom in on the skull and it does. So at first it doesn't, then it does. Then the bones eventually turn to dust. And Van Helsing reaches down and picks up Sir Christopher Lee's ring.
And then you get 70s music like that.
The end.
From the Shaft. What was Shaft? That's what the music sounds like.
Credits. Cheesy 70s music, I wrote.
There you go.
So is Jessica okay? I have lots of questions, Karen.
I think
She never revives.
I think he did wake her up. I thought
don't
he
think he
did.
did. He was like shaking her and slapping her, but I don't think she ever came out of
Well,
it.
maybe when Christopher Lee died, she came around.
Okay. Well, we don't know, do we, Karen?
No, we don't. Sequel.
All right, Karen. Anything you were pleasantly surprised by or really enjoyed in this film
I do like
besides the music?
I do like the dynamic between Cushing and Lee. When they're on screen together, I like their rapport. When they're fighting and talking.
I do too. Even when they're in just casual conversation or whatever, you can tell there's like an underlying thing.
Well, there's like a camaraderie or something. And that's why I wanted to know if they were friends. That's what made me look it up, is they're very
kind of like
comfortable with
Honor
each
Among
other.
Thieves kind of thing almost,
Yeah.
but Van Helsing
Like
is a good
almost like
guy.
respect
Yeah.
or something. So I like that. I liked sort of that Jessica was supposed to be smart and filled in on all the knowledge, but yet what I didn't like is she still served coffee and had to stay in the car.
Yeah.
So
They didn't use her much.
No, I thought she could have been used a lot more.
Yeah, I thought she could have been used a lot more too, Karen. I thought we could have seen more of Jessica.
So that's pretty much what I liked.
Okay.
Is there anything different that you liked besides the bare breasts?
No, well, I love Sir Christopher Lee. And I like Peter Cushing too. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I think we covered everything we like. I guess I kind of like it's a more modern take, right? On that was kind of interesting, right? I say modern, I mean, at the time it was a modern take on Dracula, right? Dracula in the present day.
I guess, but they had to
But I think it would have been much cooler. But
he would have been. They felt like they had to bring in
they
the
could have
Satanic
showed him,
Rites and
like
stuff.
clubbing at night, going out and
Well, that's the more
kind of like Fright Night.
kind of, and I think that's scarier if they can mix in with normal people. It's kind of, they had to bring in the satanic stuff just to make it evil. But it's scarier if you don't know who they are and they mix in with society. That's like the old, like Bella was the count, and or Fright Night, where you don't know who might be a vampire and who might not. But if you're at a satanic ritual, you can get some guesses going. Like, maybe I shouldn't be here. This looks like a bad thing to be at.
Wasn't bad though.
I didn't care for it really.
So I started watching it like last night, and I said, well, I'll watch like half of it and then I'll watch the rest, today or whatever. But I couldn't stop watching it.
Oh, really?
So I guess that says something for it. So I stayed up and watched it, the whole thing last night.
I don't know. I think
I wasn't looking at my watch or really checking the time. You know what I mean?
I guess maybe once I started watching it, I remembered
you'd seen it before.
Yeah, so it wasn't as intriguing to me.
I don't think I ever had. All right, anything you were disappointed in?
I didn't really like the story.
I didn't either.
I mean, it's just
I could do without the whole plague thing, and
I didn't quite get it. Like, I kept going back to, there's going to be nothing left. How is he going to survive? He kept acting like he was going to have a future, but if everyone was dead, I get that he's going to watch it and enjoy the suffering. But if it's accelerated, I mean, they're going to die in 5 minutes. What's he got?
Well,
like
I think
72 hours tops before everybody's dead.
Well, I think it's kind of like, it's 1973, right? Cold War was, I guess, in full full
I mean, like
mode.
chemical warfare. And
yeah, I'm sure this is like an allusion to a real apocalypse, like what could actually happen, right?
Yes. Okay, I'll give you that, but I just didn't.
They're trying to be smart and clever and edgy or whatever, but
too smart for me. That was the problem.
It seemed rushed at the end. A lot of these seem rushed at the end lately, and even in the middle, and then the beginning. They seem to figure shit out just by talking amongst themselves, like brainstorming. Oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Oh, and then it must be this, and you know what I mean? Like they figured out, they went from, oh, there's a building where the graveyard was, to Denham must be Dracula. We're like that, right?
Well, that's Van Helsing.
Vampire, right?
Van Helsing probably just guesses everybody's Dracula, and he's right once in a while.
Well, he's like I guess he's like the great grandson or some shit of like the original Van Helsing from the original Draculas, right?
I guess, yeah.
He's Lorimer Van Helsing.
And they could have had a sequel with Jessica, which would have been interesting because she's also a Van Helsing. So that would have been kind of cool to see.
Right. And reading about this film, I was expecting her to have a much bigger role
than serving coffee.
Yeah. I thought they were like handing the baton to this granddaughter.
I think that was a missed opportunity.
Which would have been kind of cool, I think. Just flipping the whole.
Right. So it's disappointing that they didn't do it. Because they set it all up.
You have a female chasing Dracula.
Yeah, I agree.
A person in which he usually has control over, with his, his eyes, Karen.
Yes,
his Bela Lugosi eyes.
I agree. I think that would have been cool.
Well, they're more bloodshot. Christopher Lee's eyes are more bloodshot eyes, but
Absolutely.
same diff. Yeah, that would have been cool. I agree. Anything else you're disappointed in?
No, it's pretty much a 70s movie.
Yeah, 70s Hammer film. I think this was getting near the end of the Hammer film studios thing too, before their rebirth recently. I didn't care for the cheesy 70s music.
No, but there wasn't
Sounded
a ton
like
of it.
I felt like I was watching like Kojak or Streets of San Francisco or
Right,
something
right.
like that.
Shaft, I'm telling you. And there was really some weird music playing when he was making the bullet. It was almost
Was it-
like
Was it
romantic
electronic?
kind.
Oh no,
No, it
I
was
can't
like
remember.
it was odd. I didn't notice it right away, and then I thought that's weird music to be playing, almost like a lullaby or something. I don't know what it was. It was strange.
All right, what kind of cocktail rating are we going to give this film, Karen?
Well, I was leaning towards a 4, but I think it's a 3.
I'm okay with a 4 if you want to give it
Are
a
you?
4. Yeah,
It's not really good. I mean,
it's not great. I mean, like I said, I was pretty much entertained, but once it got to the end, I was like, oh shit, okay. Because the ending was so fucking rushed. And
I think there are better ones with Christopher Lee and
I'm giving it a
Cushing.
I'm giving it
Yeah,
a 4. Would you like to know the boob count and the death toll, Karen?
absolutely. Wait, let me
So-
guess. Boob count 3,
Yes.
death count 9.
14.
Oh, I must have missed some motorcycle dudes.
Shearling mafia men.
Yeah.
3 bare breasts, although we see 2 of them over and over and over again to begin the film, which I didn't hate. That's all we see. And then 14 deaths. That's pretty good.
And Christopher Lee doesn't talk until an hour and 3 minutes into it. And
I'm
it's
not
only
even-
an hour and a half.
Did I count Christopher Lee? I must have. So it could be 15. I don't know. I can't remember. If
Might be.
counted
I don't know if
Christopher
you. I don't think you did. So I bet it's 15.
Whatever, 14 or 15. But he's dead and dead again. So
Oh, you might have, because I said, does he really count as dead? I think you did count him.
I must have then.
Yeah,
14.
because then you said, do all the other ones count? So I think you did count him.
All right, comments on our cocktail, Karen? The Black Death.
That's too much for me.
Mine's gone. I drank it
Well, you're a trooper.
through the straw. Wasn't bad. I like the butterscotch.
I do like the butterscotch,
It's just enough to make it okay, the butterscotch.
but I don't like the Kahlua. I don't like Kahlua. So it's.
Okay.
But I think if you like Kahlua, I think you'll really
Yeah,
like
it's
it. 'Cause
definitely not one of our not one of the favorite drinks we've done, but it's not the worst either. I'll say it's not even the second worst. It's in the bottom 5. I'll say that. Anything we learned today, Karen?
We learned so much today.
Like?
Well, you cheated and learned about the bubonic plague. We learned that
But we learned lots of other things about the bubonic plague.
Christopher Lee and Cushing were good friends.
Yeah.
You made all your references at the beginning.
A little bit about the Sabbath of the Undead,
A little bit about the
which apparently
Derringer bullet.
apparently it's like right around fucking Thanksgiving usually, right? Sabbath of the Undead.
Yeah, we should be celebrating it. I don't understand what.
I don't know either.
I tried to find it. I'm sure that dinged my
Next year, I'm putting it on. Here, I'm going to put it on my calendar right now.
11/23
And we learned about the hawthorn tree too. I didn't know anything about
It's
that
true.
shit.
and the water. Although I sort of knew the water thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I buy that shit. I don't think throwing water on a vampire is going to do anything except make them wet.
Well, I could see where they might be able to drown them for some reason, but just the sprinklers seemed a little odd to me.
Yeah, running water, just clear running water. That's all it takes. Apparently, I'm not sure I know about silver either. I thought that was always more werewolf than
Yeah, I think maybe.
vampire.
Well, there are
Silver bullet.
there are vampire books where they can be bound in silver chains, but those are
Did you read that in the books you got from the library, Karen?
well, no, they're in more of fiction books.
Oh,
If you read
yeah.
about vampires, but that could be from this movie. I don't know.
All right. Next movie is your choice, Karen.
It is.
Go on.
Well, this time we've got something very exciting going on, Greg.
Something special?
Something extra special.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
We're going to do a movie called The Curse of the Blue Lights, which is exclusively shown on YouTube. It's exclusive to YouTube.
The Curse of the Blue Lights, right?
But we are going to have, if this works out, a couple of the actors from that film join us.
The hell you say? 2 of the actual actors who are in this film could be on our podcast next week?
They might be.
Oh my God.
We're going to talk to them while we do what we do.
Okay. Are we going to be nice if we don't like it? And
No, they seem open to
well, I'll wait for
critique.
them to rip it before I rip it.
Well,
If I feel the need to rip it, shit, I may like it. I don't know.
We might need to say, what was your motivation in this scene? Because I'm kind of missing it here.
Yes. Do you have a cocktail for us, Karen?
I do.
Oh, what are we going to have next week?
It's
as a
called
cocktail?
the Blue Light Special. We're going to need 3/4 ounce of apple schnapps,
Okay.
1/4 ounce of vodka,
Okay.
1/4 ounce of blue curacao,
Okay.
and pineapple juice.
Okay. I got all that shit.
It's not a strong one. Doesn't look like. Well, no, just a little over an ounce, and I found it on Cocktail Builder.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it should be fun. Get an actor's perspective.
Well, 2 actors, apparently, right?
Yes, that's the plan. So we'll see if that works out.
It's great having family members who know people, isn't it, Karen?
Yes. Just happens to meet someone at the neighborhood barbecue.
Were they met at a barbecue?
Well, they live in the same neighborhood, and he's known him forever, and he didn't know they were actually talking about the Scary Spirits podcast.
Oh,
My brother was, and the wife of one of the actors says, well, Brett's been in a horror movie, and Billy's known him. He said, I've known him for 15 years, and I didn't know that. My brother, Billy.
he doesn't
So
have
we'll-
like the poster up on his wall in his
I don't
living
know.
room
I
or
would.
foyer or anything.
That's how I would introduce myself. Hi, I'm Karen. I was in a horror movie. That would be my opener.
Yeah, I was girl number 5.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
That would be the most interesting thing about me.
Awesome. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, as always, I'd like to thank all our listeners. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thanks for spending time with us.
Yes, thanks for investing your time with us.
What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Well, of course, I need to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all of the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music does make the podcast better.
And their link is in the show notes to all their music on their Bandcamp page. Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.